Sophie Dickman was robbed and violently sexually assaulted on July 7, 1985, in Monterey Park. She was handcuffed to her bed. Deputy Linda Arthur lived opposite Sophie Dickman. Sophie managed to pull her bed to the window so she could call Arthur's name. Even though nobody had been killed, Linda Arthur believed this sex attack was the work of the serial killer.
It was something in the air. It was her voice, and she said that he drove away, and I just instinctively knew it was him.
Instead of basing her opinion on evidence, Arthur cited feelings and vibes, and the fact the suspect drove away. Arthur called her friend Detective Carrillo. She was one of the few people who believed in his serial killer hypothesis. However, Monterey Park was not under sheriff's jurisdiction. According to Philip Carlo's biography, Carrillo was not welcome at the Dickman crime scene, but it soon became a Night Stalker case. Initially, Sophie Dickman's case was dealt with by Monterey Park Police Department, not the LASD. This is her first responder police statement. Sophie originally said the suspect was 5 feet 8 inches, or 5 feet 9 inches. In fact, she told 3 separate Monterey Park detectives. It goes without saying that Richard Ramirez was clearly much taller than the suspect in this case. Dickman assisted police in creating a composite drawing. The media erroneously reported the composite as the suspect in the Nelson murder. This is because the sheriff's department was pulling all local cases under the serial killer umbrella. Note how they lie about the suspect's height. There's a reason for that, which will be explained in another video. For years later in court, Sophie Dickman maintained that she had always told detectives that her attacker was 6 feet 1 inch, very specifically Richard Ramirez's height. Under cross-examination, Sophie was compelled to admit that back in 1985, she had approved a leaflet containing this composite drawing and a description that stated the suspect was 5 feet 8 inches. Some of you might be wondering whether semen evidence was presented at trial. Well, the answer is no. According to Philip Carlo, Detective Carrillo and Sergeant Frank Salerno were confused because they believed seminal fluid had been collected. But the prosecutor, Philip Halpin, offered nothing. Bizarrely, it was questioned whether Sophie Dickman had been penetrated at all. Detective Carrillo enjoys talking about the more salacious aspects of the crimes, particularly relating to the Night Stalker's ejaculations.
He was orgasming. He was reaching orgasm, reaching climax.
His interest extends to his alleged impotency. Here he talks about Ramirez's reaction to Sophie Dickman's witness testimony.
God bless her, Sophie Dickman was a spry lady in her late 60s when this happened. She had worked the psychiatric ward over at USC Medical Center and worked the emergency room. She'd seen all kinds of stuff. And she testified that he was, because he actually sexually assaulted her and had anal penetration, so it was a sodomy. And she said he was quite a handsome young man. And she was afraid that because he couldn't maintain an erection that he might be embarrassed and kill her because he couldn't maintain it out of embarrassment, but he didn't. And when she said in courtroom that he was quite a handsome young man, Richard turned around. He was embarrassed then. And he looks at me and he says, "That wasn't me." And I'm so.
It is difficult to determine whether Sophie Dickman was genuinely raped. This is from Richard Ramirez's 2008 federal habeas corpus appeal. Note the phrase, attempted vaginal intercourse, and tried to penetrate her rectum. Later, it again said he resumed his attempt, but did not penetrate her vagina. This next image is from Emily Zola's book. Dickman stated in court that the suspect was merely thrusting and pounding her tailbone. So why did Carrillo and Salerno expect seminal fluid? Ultimately, no physical evidence tied Richard Ramirez to the crime scene, but he was identified by Sophie Dickman at the lineup. However, that lineup was rigged. Witnesses were told to choose Richard Ramirez by police deputies.
A number and will be referred to only by number. Number 2, step to the red square in the center of the line. Number 2, in a loud, clear voice, repeat this statement. Shut up, bitch.
Shut up, bitch.
Number 2, turn to your right and face the door. If you can identify a suspect, mark the card with his number on the line.
In court, Sophie Dickman admitted she had seen Richard Ramirez on the news multiple times per day. She was also told that the Night Stalker would be in the lineup. According to Carrillo, she wanted to dress up for the occasion.
And when it came time, after he's in custody, she says, I'll go to court and testify, but you better give me at least 3 days because I need to get to the beauty salon. If I don't go to the beauty salon, you ain't getting me.
Ultimately, Ramirez was convicted of this crime because he allegedly sold items stolen from Sophie Dickman's house to a fence, Felipe Solano. Solano was the star prosecution witness and was found to be a liar, but that's a whole other topic for another video. For more information on the discrepancies in the Richard Ramirez cases, I recommend you buy this book, The Appeal of the Night Stalker, The Railroading of Richard Ramirez, by Emily Zola, J. Roslin and K.C. Graham.